Okay, super.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Civics Chat. Today we are going live from Facebook, and we decided to go live on YouTube as well. Today we have a special guest, Victoria and I. We have a special guest. We have Pedro Viloria. Hi, Pedro.
Hi,
Hi,
everyone.
Pedro.
Thank you for having me.
Super
Thank
excited
you
to
for
have
being
you.
here.
So just so everybody knows, my name is Michelle Zuluaga, and I'm the Civic Participation Manager for the Latino Community Fund, Georgia.
And my name is Victoria, and I'm the Civic Engagement Coordinator for Los Vecinos de Buford Highway.
And I'm
You
Pedro Viloria, and I'm the Operations Coordinator.
awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
There's a bit of a lag, I think.
Yeah, completely fine. Completely fine. So we're super excited today because today on Civics Chat, we are actually going to talk about what's going to be on your ballot during this runoff election. And we're also going to cover a little bit of why is this runoff election happening and why are you seeing what you see on your ballot. So I'm pretty excited that Pedro is here joining us today because I kind of want him to tell us a little bit about what's going to be on your ballot box. Pedro, can you let us know what will be on our ballot box?
Of course, and thank you again, Michelle, for having me today. I think the first thing I want to start off with is with a reminder that early voting is still available, and it will be available until December 31st. Because of the holidays and because it's being a special runoff election, times will vary as well as locations. So please make sure to check the voter website for your polling times and your locations before you go to the wrong place. Also, you can vote by mail. So if you want to go ahead and ask for an absentee ballot, you can do so as well on the same website. I'm sure you have all heard by now, but if you haven't, Georgia is in the center stage for American politics right now. Both of our Senate seats are up for election, with the balance of the Senate at stake, which means that Georgia is going to get to decide which party has the majority in our Senate. But aside from these, two Senate seats are up for election. Did you know that there's another super, super, super important position on the ballot? One of the 5 public service commissioner seats is also up for election and will be on this ballot as well as the 2 Senate seats. So if you've ever had any issues with your utility bills, if you've ever complained about having really, really high utility bills, you'll want to hear more about what we have to say today.
I think we can all relate to that. Utility bills, prices, everything from like infrastructure, they make public service commissioners make very important decisions that impact our day-to-day life, right, Pedro?
Absolutely. I mean, again, if you have ever had issues with your service in general, and especially these times, I think that we hope to see a lot of leadership from service businesses and organizations, given that there's a pandemic and a lot of people are having issues paying for those same utilities. So this is definitely, I think, a position that is very, very important, especially these times. Where we really, depend on a lot of government leadership, especially local government leadership, to alleviate all of the stress and hardships that we're dealing with because of the pandemic.
Absolutely. So, Victoria, can you tell us a little bit about the first Senate seat?
Yes, of course. And again, thank you, Pedro, for joining us. So for the first seat of the election, we have Perdue versus Ossoff, and David Perdue is the incumbent, meaning he is the current senator in seat right now. As we talked about in our previous chat, they are advancing into a runoff after the November 3rd election, since no candidate won the majority of the vote. And if you guys want to learn more in detail about the runoffs, you can watch our previous Civics Chat, which is on our Facebook and Instagram. But yeah, they're happening here in Georgia. You can, Senator Perdue is running for a second term in office since he was elected back in 2014. Again, senators do have a 6-year term. So Perdue won his first term in 2014 by a margin of 8 percentage points. And Georgia has not elected a Democratic senator since 1996. So Georgia is the only state right now to have 2 Senate seat races. So like Pedro mentioned, Georgia is at center stage. So these elections are very, very important, very crucial, especially for Georgia, since this is what everyone's focused on right now. We're very, very important, very proud to be a Georgian right now. But yeah, this is a very important election, and I'm just happy to be talking about this because I can't stress the importance of this election enough, you know. So this is a great chat to have right now for everyone who wants to learn more about it.
For sure.
But Michelle, do you want to tell us more about this?
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, something that I wanted to comment, Victoria, what you're saying is so true. Like, this is a one in a lifetime chance for everybody who's watching to cast or make history. Don't you guys think?
Yeah, it's like, when will we get another chance to make an impact like this? You know, it's just, it doesn't come around that often. Like,
I also think
this is the next 10 years, you know?
I absolutely, it really is a once in a time opportunity. And I think it's also really important for Georgians to reflect on the fact that we're not just voting for us, right? That's really what local elections are for. If you have a lot of issues with the way that things are being run in your local towns and counties, that's what our local elections are for. For example, like a public service commissioner, but this is an election that is a federal level election, which means that we'll decide not just the direction that we're headed as Georgians, but as a country, all of Americans are going to be affected by the decisions that Georgia voters take on January 5th. So I encourage everyone to vote and to speak up your mind, because this is really, really so monumental, not just for Georgia, but for the entire country.
Absolutely. So talking about those Senate seats,
where...
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. Sorry.
I thought you froze on us, Victoria. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about that second Senate seat, right? So Victoria just told us about the first Senate seat. We have a second Senate seat that, you know, is up for grabs. So we actually, to really understand why the Senate seat is up for runoff, we have to actually go back a year. And the reason why is because this Senate seat used to be occupied by former Senator Johnny Isakson. And he decided to retire from his position due to health issues back in late 2019. So that was just a year ago. And at the time, we wouldn't have an election until November 2020, which was these general elections. Therefore, Governor Kemp had to appoint somebody so that they can occupy that senator position until the general elections happen. So as we mentioned in our last episode, in the state of Georgia, for a senator to actually win the seat, they have to win 50+1% of the popular vote. And that is why, and just because Kelly Loeffler was appointed, her seat was simply up for grabs. And that is why we saw probably like 50 people. I would want to say like 15 candidates were up for her seat. I mean, there were so many people on there, and so many people. And it's simply because of that, because she has not been through an election where she had won that majority vote. This made it so that she ultimately had to go through a runoff. The fact that I would say, and I don't know, Victoria or Pedro, you know, I wasn't really a shock to us when she when this seat was off we had to go for a runoff, the second Senate seat, because there were just so many people that were on that ballot, right? Yeah, so you know. And because of that, you know, seat is in a runoff today. So, you know, it has a little bit of history, but now you know the reason as to why you have to go vote and why this is happening right now. So, Pedro, can you talk to us about the last position that will be on the ballot, which is the Public Service Commissioner?
Of course. And I'm actually really excited to talk about this position because, like I said, I think it's a position that is overlooked often, but it's actually very much of consequence directly. So it's one of those positions that, unlike the federal election for senators, directly affects Georgians and how, you know, we're going to be charged for our utilities in the future. So like I said, most people have probably never heard of this position or are not very familiar with this position, but it has a huge and direct and immediate impact on our monthly expenses and our lives. Because this is the position that is in charge of ensuring that us, the consumers, receive safe, reliable, and reasonably priced phone bills, electric services, natural gas services. And these are things that, we need for our livelihood. We cannot live without gas or electricity. So we really depend on this person to represent us in that negotiation table with the organization, through the businesses that provide the services for us, and advocate for our rights. Like the senator position, this is a position that is elected for 6 years. And I think that this is really important to stress because of the temporality of the positions that we're voting for. Both Senate seats and the public commissioner, people are going to be in their seats beyond the upcoming presidential election. So these are decisions that will stick with us for a long time, and which is why I urge everyone to participate, because we're not going to get, unless something very unexpected happens, we are very unlikely to get another chance to change who we elect in this election. These are the people that are tasked with investigating if there are any, unfair practices that businesses are doing in behalf of the consumers, making sure that all rules are enforced and that everything is up to standard, so that our electricity works and that our gas works, and that we pay a fair price and that we're not being forced to overpay for a service that, again, we don't really have a choice of getting. So currently, the commission is made up of 5 seats. Our current commissioners are Chuck Eaton, Tim Eccles, Tricia Pridemore, Jason Shaw, and Lauren McDonald. And Lauren McDonald's seat is actually the one that is up for election. This is a District 4 commissioner seat. And just like, the Senate races, this was a case of not making enough of the majority of the 50+1%. To secure the seat. And so that is why this position is now being up for re-election, with the opposition being Democratic Daniel Blackman. And so again, I urge everyone to, look into these 2 candidates, because this is unlike the federal Senate elections. These are elections that affect the daily Georgian life, and it's not something that anybody else is going to decide for us. So I urge you to participate and make sure that, just as much attention as you're giving to these Senate seats, give it as well to the public commissioner, because, if you're going to complain about your power bill and how high it is, especially this winter, and especially in this economy, you want to make sure that you at least had a say on how much you're getting charged for that.
Thank you so much. And I think
my bill is way too expensive.
Mm-hmm. Because honestly, I feel like a lot of people feel like they don't have a say in their pricing utilities. So it's so important that you talked about this, because we can go out and vote for our public service commissioner, which will affect the utility bills. It's crazy right now, especially like you said, in the economy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Victoria, do you want to tell us a little bit more about Know Your Rights, so that people watching us know, their rights when they go to the polls?
Yes, of course. This is so important. Okay, guys. So first and foremost, you have the right to vote. So if you go in line, if you're voting in person, of course, stay in line. Even if you get there before the closing time, which is usually 7 p.m., just stay in line. Do not leave. Even if they don't let you vote, you have the right to vote. So they have to let you vote if you get there before time. Also, if you make a mistake on your ballot, ask for a new one. You all have the right to a provisional ballot. If you're wondering what a provisional ballot is, it is a paper ballot used when your voter eligibility is in question. So just in case they can't find you in the system, maybe you're at the wrong polling location, they can't tell you where to go, just use a provisional ballot. That is your right. Also, your vote is private. So if you feel uncomfortable, you feel like your privacy is being invaded, that we have a voter protection hotline that I'll give you at the end. Also, you have the right to take someone. You have the right to murder. Huh? Okay, sorry. You guys have the right to an interpreter. It cannot be your employer, but you guys can take anyone if you need a translator. You have that right to take someone with you. So they cannot deny you of you getting any help to fill out your ballot. And also, it is illegal for anyone to stop you from voting, like I said previously. But also, they can't intimidate you while you're voting. They can coerce you into voting for someone else, or even lying about the requirements to vote, so be prepared, guys. If you feel like any of these have violated your privacy, they're not allowing you to vote, you see something is unfair, something's off, you can call the voter protection hotline, which is 1-866-839-8682. Again, that is 1-866-839-8682. And we'll put that in the chat so you guys can have it as well. And also, guys, make a plan. If you guys have not voted yet, early voting, like Pedro said, is going to continue until December 31st. So make sure your registration status is active. And you can do this by going on my voter page. Research your candidates. We have gone over what is going to be on your ballot. So do your research. When you go to your poll. If you're voting in person, you can check your early polling locations near you by going to bit.ly/LCF poll. Make sure you take your ID when you go vote, take your mask, practice social distancing. Just in case there are long lines, take a book, headphones, water bottles. Just be prepared. And like I said before, do not leave. Stay in line. No matter how long it is, do not get discouraged. You have to make your voice heard. So please, please, please do not leave. If you're in line, do not leave. And if you're voting absentee, make sure you have already submitted your application. Send it if you haven't already, and always check your status of your absentee ballot. And you can do that as well on my voter page.
Thank you so much, Victoria. We are so excited to have talked to this, to all of our viewers. If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments. And if you guys have any suggestions of what we should talk about next time, let us know. Thank you so much, Pedro, and thank you so much, Victoria, for another successful episode of Civics Chat. We will be here next week on Wednesday, so stay tuned, and we will see you soon.
Yes, thank you, Pedro, for joining us again.
Thank you, and happy holidays.
Happy holidays to everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.